Another one that is coming down is Sustainable Development, Amendment 21. What is your view on that? Agenda, I'm sorry, thank you.
I was going to say, I didn't think we had an amendment that got as high as 21 here.
Thank you.
I'm not sure what that one does, to be honest with you. I'd be honest with you, I'm focused. Is that gives property rights away? Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm a big property rights fan, so if you got one that gives property rights away, I ain't going to be for it.
Well, that would be a great one that we'd love for you to research on to be able to report back.
I'll be glad to, because listen, I was on the board until very recently. I had to resign because of this race of the James Madison Institute. That's Florida's conservative think tank. I've been on that board for a number of years before I was elected to be Attorney General, and since I've been there. That is the single biggest think tank organized for private property rights, probably in the country, certainly in the state of Florida. And so anything that encroaches on property rights, I'm against. And I will tell you what, I am very much against any taking of property without A, due process, or B, full and just compensation. And that includes issues that concern water, and includes issues of the rights that are often dealing with where are your boundaries. The private person has the right to the property, and if we're going to develop Florida, and I think this goes to the ranch lands maybe, I don't know where you're headed with, because I don't know the term.
It's a UN resolution.
It's a UN resolution? Okay, I'm thinking Florida, man. But we got our own problems. If it's a UN resolution and it's giving away property right, if it's UN, it's bad almost by definition. The UN,
yeah.
I never voted to abolish it, but I came close.
Yeah, I said that. Never mind.
There's Florida,
This is a
right?
great group over here.
If it's Florida,
exactly.
I'm thinking that I'll bet it.
Yes. The Agenda 21 is Sustainable Development, UN resolution. So that's
okay,
what
all right, we got it right. Okay.
All right, based on this then also is where do you stand with what's going through with the HM 19, SM 96, that's limiting the scope and exercise of the federal government? What would your stand be on that as far as the government is?
Well, I certainly believe the scope and size of the federal government should be limited. I campaigned in, I shouldn't say the year. You guys are going to realize I'm dating myself. But I was the first candidate for Congress and elected with Ronald Reagan in 1980. And I got it before a camera like that. I didn't have any money. Speaking, I have very little compared to my opponent now. I just sat before a camera like that, and I said, I'm Bill McCollum. I'd like to be your next congressman. I believe that we should limit the size and scope of the federal government. We should cut the income tax. We should cut the capital gains tax. We should restore the strength of our military, and we should make America proud and restore the integrity of our Constitution and the rights of the people of this country. Something like that. I don't know if I exactly said that. It's very close to that. And so if you tell me that you're for something that will limit the size and scope, especially the federal government and my state government for that matter, I'm going to be for it.
Which is great on there. Also with the Florida Firearms Freedom Act, that is another bill that's going through there.
Well, first of all, I am a big fan of the Second Amendment. I have been an A-rated NRA person, and yeah. And we have
a few fans there.
My job is largely as Attorney General, or not largely, but one part of it is to protect those rights. I just signed a letter today, and this is not something that I'm issuing a press release on. It just happens to be I did it today. That is going to the key administrators for both the cities and county governments of our state, telling them that I've had some people express concerns to me with restrictions that they're placing at the local government level on firearms. And the state law preempts all firearms. The local government can't pass those restrictions. They don't have the authority to do that. So I've sent a letter out reminding them, and I asked them to disseminate that to all their lawyers, because we're getting reports like some of the local parks, they're saying you can't have a firearm in that park. And that's just, that's not right. They don't have that authority. Maybe Will Snyder could do that, but your local government can't.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Also, we're going through Tallahassee is the Healthcare Freedom Act, and from an effort to put a hedge of protection again for the state of Florida regarding the federal government's role with the health
Sure, and I supported that. I supported this last time. I'm disappointed that some of the provisions that I wanted to see enacted, the governor vetoed in that ultrasound bill. That ultrasound bill on abortions also contained a provision that we believe we already have the right, but it gave further rights to me in my lawsuit to represent individuals. And going along with that, of course, was the effort to get the state demarked in a way that says, hey, we're not part of this deal in Washington. We got our own rights, and try to find some other hook in our state constitution and in our state laws. And so anything that would strengthen our right to separate from that national health insurance bill, I'm for it. But of course, you know where I am. I want to kill the bill. We're not under the law. I'm not interested in just separating from it. I want to get rid of it.
And also, a side note before our last question is that with the grassroots, throughout the state of Florida, we want to be equipped and being able to help in that effort as well.
Sure.
So we're not on the sidelines. We want to be an active part of the process, and part of that is just hearing from our elected officials and how we can be effective in working together to help fight that as well. So we're counting on you to help equip us on what we can do, in that fight.
Well, I want you to be a part of this. You're doing it right now. You're doing it by expressing your voice. When I'm elected, I want you to be my partners. I hope some of you, obviously I've got some of you who are part of me already, my team, but I want you to help me govern. We've got lots of decisions to make as a state, lots of places to go. And I want some of you to volunteer to be on some of these boards and these commissions. The governor has lots of appointments, and many times those appointments go wanting, but strangely as they may seem, people may not want to serve on all these things. The people you want don't want to serve. And people volunteer, and the choice is limited. So I hope that the Tea Party movement, I hope the activist movement, I hope the conservative movement produces people who will line up to get appointments, not just at the federal level, not just going out to the ballot box, but to serve our state.
You hear that, guys? All right.
You got it? We need you. Bottom line.
And then thank you for being gracious enough to come out and being able to speak with everybody and with your time. It's very important, and these people want to know. We just really want to know, citizens of Florida, what would Floridians see in you that is much more preferable than Rick Scott as far as governor of the state of Florida? And that'd be your closing question.
Well, the closing question's probably been answered already, but I'll repeat it. The
Yes.
question is, what is the difference between the two of us? And look, I have the experience. I know that's a kind of a lousy word right now, but you don't have to find a rookie to do this. I'm a true and tested conservative. You know where I stand. I've got a record of long history of being in favor of our Constitution, of strict construction, of all the ideals that I think almost everybody here, whether Democrat, Republican, or independent, have, and a fervor about getting this job done right, and about saying to the federal government, enough is enough. It's time for us to take back our country. I believe that. I believed that in 1980 when I ran. I believed that in 1994 when I campaigned to get a majority of my party and the conservatives in Congress. It didn't last the right way, but I believe it just as passionate today as running for governor. Rick Scott is untested in government. He doesn't have a voting record. Who is Rick Scott is a question yet to be answered, and I believe he's a very wealthy man who has a background that's suspect in terms of how he operated a business, and I cannot imagine the voters of Florida are going to want to take a guy who got fired by a big company because he didn't operate it properly and allowed on his watch, if he didn't perpetrate it himself, the largest scam on taxpayers in history, the theft from taxpayer dollars that this man did, and then turn him around and say, okay, you're going to run the fourth largest state in the union. I don't believe that. There's a big difference between Bill McCollum and Rick Scott. I'm the conservative guy. He's the guy who says he's whatever he says he is, and we know he has a record that's very questionable. Thank you.
Yeah,
God bless you, and God bless America. Okay? Looking forward to being your governor. Thank you.